The Custodes were one of the armies that were most improved in 9th edition, mostly just because of the extra command points. And they've been doing really, really well. We were curious to see what this FAQ was going to bring for them. And there were some very minor changes, but generally, I think some welcome ones. So why don't we take a look at the changes to Custodes in this January 2021 FAQ. Okay, so this Custodes got less than most armies.
They did,
which is, I think, fine. They're actually a really well-balanced army.
I think they're in a good place.
They're in a really good place, but there was a few points changes that I think made sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
There could have been more overall, but there was, I'd say, a couple that made sense. One that kind of confuses all of us. So one of them, of course, is the Alaris Terminators went up 5, and they're kind of the mainstay backbone of the army. They have all the best strats right now. They're super strong. And I think it makes sense for them going up because compared to everything else, they were the obvious pick.
Yeah, it was such a non-contest, especially because of all the strats, as you mentioned. Yeah. This kind of continues the ongoing discussion of Aquilon versus Alaris.
Yeah.
We personally like Alaris because of all those amazing strats, the utility, things like this. But it does make things like the Aquilon at least a bit more interesting in comparison.
Especially with that strength 10 and that flat 2 damage.
Yeah, that's nice.
A lot of times I've rolled just 1s on those D3 damage, and they don't look like a very strong unit when you roll 1 damage for them.
No, not at all. Especially when you're fighting, Marines.
Yeah, that's
right. So that 2 damage is nice. But like you said, this is a welcome change. This is good. 5 points at the end of the day, especially for Custodes army, not the end of the world.
Because you're only going to have like 6 of these in your army or something.
Exactly.
So 5-point change, not huge. Yep. In fact, it's pretty well offset by the fact that Vexilla banners are free.
Yeah.
This is not clear whether this is a mistake or not. Honestly, I feel like they made so many mistakes in these FAQs that it could have been an error.
It could be.
But there's other war gear that they deliberately made free and other banners that they deliberately made free, like the Sisters Simulacrums.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think it actually probably is legitimate. And it's obviously fine to play it that way right now. So you get to take often 30 points off your list.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what you added with the,
Terminator.
The Terminator. So
and you're often taking them together too, right?
Yeah, it's pretty common. So that's a wash.
Yeah.
Maybe take a second Vexilla if you want. 1 for +1 attack, 1 for -1 to hit.
Hey, why not?
They're more cost effective than they were. And they are characters, so you can put warlord traits and relics and stuff on them. So
I like it. I think it's fine. It's good. And it's not, even if it is a mistake, it's not really a big problem. So we play it safe with this kind of stuff, where we're going to be playing them as is written for that. So 30 points cheaper, which is nice.
I'm into it.
Yeah, there's another unit that's competing for most improved.
And that's right. And this is the bikes, the Virtus Praetors.
That's right.
They went down 10 points, which is really great.
Yeah.
They were a little pricey in the sense that they're actually not that durable anymore. Everything is so lethal in the game now. That everything has multi-damage and at least AP2 that they really do die pretty quick.
Yeah.
Their output is still amazing. And they're such a huge threat, especially with those Melta missiles being so cheap. But now that they're just a little bit cheaper, you can kind of afford to lose them and not be so sad, right? It's like so each one of them is like a tank from another army, right?
Yeah.
And so them coming down 10 makes them a lot more interesting compared to the Terminators.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is actually personally my favorite unit in the army. This is the reason I would start Custodes. And they're fast. They're different than almost anything else in the army.
Yeah.
Even Venatari is the closest comparable thing, and they're very different, which is great. So again, this is a change that is all about diversity of list building, right? It makes these less viable options more interesting. You're going to be thinking about them. And I think the bikes, like we said, one of the things to think about is how many of these units are you likely to take. And the bikes, I think, you could run, up to 8 pretty reasonably. So you're saving a lot of points at that point.
I agree.
Obviously, you could go crazier, but
you shouldn't.
You should not.
It's not actually good to spam them.
Yeah, exactly.
But generally, as you're saying, because Custodes have so few models, like I would probably be putting like 4 bikes on my list. So this is what, a 40-point savings?
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world, but it's not even 1 extra Custode at the end of the day.
Not until you take off the Vexilla.
That's right, exactly. But I've got, maybe more people have Misericordias.
Oh, no. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So yeah, those are the points changes for Custodes. Not many of them.
No, that's right. And there were no particular FAQs or changes. No. Now, there were changes to the game overall, right? And we've talked about them many times. Things like while we stand, we fight, bring it down, first turn, changes. All these changes, very few of them impact the Custodes other than probably the while we stand, we fight.
Yeah, I'd say while we stand is the only one that has a potential impact. One thing you could do in the past is, so let's clarify the change. First of all, while we stand, we fight used to be pick the 3 most expensive models in your army. As long as each of one of those survives till the end of the game, you get 5 points for each one. And now it is no longer most expensive model, it's most expensive unit.
Yeah.
This is a big switch, right?
Yeah.
You can't pick unkillable shield captains with 1,000,000 buffs on them. It's going to be things like your hammer units, like your Alaris or your Virtus Praetors.
Which ultimately will die.
You want them to die in a way, right? If they survive, you're probably not using them to their max capacity.
Yeah, before you'd have something like Trajan and 2 bike captains. And these are really, really hard for your opponent to kill if you're careful with them.
Yeah.
It's almost like an opponent just doesn't want to even try.
That's right.
And so this was actually a really good secondary for them. And they're not amazing at secondaries, right? And so they kind of needed this, right? Because they can't really even do actions. They have so few units. They can't really engage very well against so few units.
Yeah.
And so this was a crucial one for them. So I think this one actually does kind of hurt.
I think so.
A little bit. There's some wonky stuff with it now because what you have to do is if you pick your most expensive unit, they have to kill the entire unit, even if it breaks apart. So we have something like Unleash the Lions, where you could have a 6-man Terminator squad.
Yeah.
That's one of your picks. When you break apart, they have to kill all of them.
That's hilarious.
Even if one of them like stays back on your home objective, if they kill all the rest, it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Now that does sound abusive, but it's really not because you can't do it to 3 units, or you can. I challenge you to, but
you can try.
Nobody's going to do it to 3 units.
You're probably sacrificing the rest of the game to get your 5, 10
Yeah,
points.
well, and you're sacrificing at least 6 CP.
Yeah, exactly.
On Unleash the Lions, which is not good.
Not great.
Honestly, if you wanted to abuse Unleash the Lions, you do it with like one big 10-man squad, and pay the CP once and do it once. You don't try to take multiple units.
It's great for other reasons, exactly.
Yeah.
But we want to mention it because it's a cute thing, and I guarantee people will be talking about it on the internet.
Yeah.
I think there's other factions that can abuse that facet of the new rule better.
That's true.
But funny enough, that's kind of the only change that really affects them. Everything else is neither good nor bad. Their opponents will change, and I don't think any of them really affects the Custodes that much. So it's very Custodes-like FAQ, right?
Yeah, they're stoic in the face of changes. And this is still a very, very powerful faction, one of the best, kind of up in that A tier of factions. Really strong. And hey, break out those bikes.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Maybe try out your Aquilons. Give your Alaris a break for a few games.
They've done their work. Give them a chance.
Yeah, they're obviously still, in my opinion, the better pick. But now you have more of an excuse to pick the other ones.
Exactly. So hopefully this information was helpful. We know there was a ton of stuff coming out of the FAQ. I wanted to kind of boil it down to stuff relevant to Custodes. Let us know what you thought in the comments below. Let us know if you're going to be adjusting the way you play, adjusting your army style, things like that. One of the fun things with FAQs is it just shakes things up. Good or bad, it's going to be different. So let us know what you think. We'll be playing these guys very soon on the tabletop.